Is that? It is! Anna! You're that bard! Anna ran away because of your treachery! You spoony bard!
Father, stop!
Oh, Anna, I'm so glad to see you again.
Father, Edward is the Prince of Damascene. Forgive him, Father, for running away. But I love Edward. Still, I knew I could not find happiness without your consent, so I was on my way home when...
We were attacked by Baron's Red Wings, led by Golbez.
I've never heard of Golbez before. Who is he?
I don't know. All I know is that his powers were beyond words.
But why did they attack Damascene?
They wanted the crystal, and they spared no one to get it. My mother, my father, even Anna shielded me from their arrows.
You love him enough to give up your own life?
Father forgives me.
Love you, Anna!
Anna, damn you, Golbez. Who is that monster anyway? What do you know about him?
He came to Baron one day and became the new leader of the Red Wings. He leads them in their missions to plunder the crystals!
Stop your simpering. That won't bring Anna back. Golbez of Baron, I shall take his life with mine own two hands. Tell him, wait, you can't possibly go alone. I will kill Golbez on my own. I don't need your help. I don't need anyone's help.
Anna!
Still dead.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Square Roots, the classic RPG podcast. My name is Jim Banks. I'm joined by Matthew Van Zandt.
Heyo.
Johnny Mount Ordeal Brandon.
Yeah, I am.
Vanessa cannot make it tonight. She is still fraught with liquid poop coming out of her.
She's got it
her,
coming out of both
anus.
ends, she said today. So.
Oh. Yeah, her investigative report has now moved on to the requiring Pepto-Bismol phase.
Mm-hmm. She's it's shooting so hard out of both ends that she's starting to spin around, and I'm afraid that she might helicopter out of here.
Did you hear about her disrupting lines at Disney World by pooping?
Yeah, there's an article about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. Oh, and this is a podcast where we play and talk about your favorite classic RPGs one chunker at a time. And this is episode 2 of our Final Fantasy IV playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
Good times.
We did it.
This is a good game.
We played Final Fantasy IV.
Playing. Well, we did play it, but we will continue playing it until we're done.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get to that, is there anyone that has any hot gaming news?
I have an exciting piece of hot gaming news. Nintendo announced that they are working on a live-action Zelda movie.
What?
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, actually, I've already been cast as Tingle, so frankly,
okay.
I'm
Perfect.
pretty happy. Yeah, I've already got the green Zentais, so... just need that. Was he has a red belt, right?
That's funny. I didn't know that. I actually have already been cast as well as the pig monster Ganon.
Oh, pig monster version. He's the hottest Ganon. Good job.
I just did this, and they were like, I pushed my nose up and went, and they're like, you're hired.
They didn't go for, they weren't going to hire for, like, Dreamboat Ganon, like the red-bearded Barabanon that everyone lusts after.
Well, I mean, that's not what they hired me for, but I don't know. I haven't read the script.
What about, do you think the Hot Fish Prince? Who's going to play Hot Fish Prince? I guess Timothy Chalamet, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, Timothy Chalamet would make a decent Link, though. I was sitting here thinking, what crappy pretty boy Hollywood star would they get to play Link? And you know what? Timothy Chalamet is right in that still looks like a baby face area. think he could pull it off.
You know
But
what would
they're
be funny
actually-
is if they cast it with like an old man, like if Tom Hanks got cast to play Link. I think that would be pretty funny.
What if they de-aged him to make him look like legend Tom Cruise?
Honestly,
if you're gonna hire an older actor and de-age him, just hire Robert De Niro.
I think if you're gonna do,
Hey, Zoda.
I think if you're gonna do,
imagine Robert De Niro doing his Robert De Niro stomp to like a little goblin guy, like he does in Goodfellas.
I think if they're gonna do a Zelda movie, he should be like a kid. It should be a kid. They should be kids.
Well, maybe they could do a Ocarina of Time and have young Link and old Link.
Oh, that would be fun.
I mean, I
guess that's my question. What are they adapting?
Well, they haven't said, but I mean, 1 barely has a plot, 3 barely has a plot. Ocarina of Time that would probably be a good one.
What happens if they go
Maybe they'll just
Wind
do their own
Waker
thing.
style and then do that thing Robert Rodriguez did for Battle Angel Alita and make like the eyes just like super big?
You know, that movie's not bad.
I think like
It took
with
me
the
like 3
exception of maybe
tries.
like the last 15 minutes of it. I think it's pretty good.
It's all
It
right.
took me like 3
I always
tries to
laugh-
get through it, but once I did, I was
laugh-
oh, okay.
I laugh my fucking head off every time the young male lead dies at the end of it. Spoilers, because like it just lands with such a thud. Because who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah. Well, and it's hard to care about their like relationship when she looks like a fucking monster with her anime eyes. What a fucking weird decision. Like that did not improve that movie in any way. All it did was make it like give you an extra layer of dissociation with it. Like,
Yeah, it takes you out of it.
Did you know Nia DaCosta, director of The Marvels, was very much inspired by Advent Children? This is not a joke.
Card game.
What?
Advent Children?
No.
That's an Orson Scott Card thing.
No, that was you're thinking of that other one. I'm thinking of Final Fantasy VII.
Final Fantasy VII
Children.
Advent Children. Yeah, you're right. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I know you're thinking of that other game.
Ender's Game.
No, there's
Yeah,
a game.
Ender's Game.
There is
Yeah.
a game that Orson Scott Card like wrote. It's the only thing I've ever won off the radio was a copy of that game. And I was
And it
really
was the one
excited
that-
because that was when I still really liked Orson Scott Card and didn't know that he was
Mm-hmm.
a big creepy homophobe. And then I got home and I never finished it because it wasn't very good.
Does that one have? Is that the one that had the contest where if you won it, you could win like $10 million or something if you finished the game?
I don't know.
I feel like that was that game, and it was released by the same people that released Psychonauts. But I don't remember much more about that.
Advent Rising is the name of the game.
Yeah, no, she was not inspired by Advent Rising. She was inspired by Advent Children. So I assume that there's going to be a fight where everyone's keeps like jumping off each other up and up a tower,
I
like
can see that.
into the sky.
It sounds like
they
there's
can all
some like
fly,
power
right?
swapping stuff going on in that movie. I actually am pretty interested in seeing that, and I'm trying to talk one of my kids into coming with me to see it because even though I've been kind of down on the Marvel stuff, it's getting like decent reviews that are saying something like along the lines of like reminds me of the early Marvel stuff, which none of which was like amazing, you know? Like those were all pretty good movies that I liked a lot, and that's kind of I'm kind of into that because like the newer stuff like Eternals and Quantumania were so bad that I just can't even. I don't even want to talk about it.
And I think a superhero Freaky Friday could be fun, right?
Yeah, and the chemistry between the three of them is supposed to be really good, and I like what's her face as Captain Marvel quite a bit. Brie Larson, I think she's great in that role, and
Nia Vardalos.
I really like the girl that plays Iman, that plays Ms. Marvel, the younger lady. Even though that show was
And Rambo was fun. I like Rambo,
and Monica
even
Rambeau
she only
was
had
good.
like 10 minutes in the movie
Yeah,
or something. She wasn't in the movie a lot.
Well, she wasn't in the movie. She was in WandaVision.
Oh, I thought
She was in the first movie,
movie,
but she was a child, so it's a different actor.
Right, that's it. Right.
Anyway,
I knew she was in one of them.
I'm pretty interested in seeing that. I'm going to try and see it in theaters. Like, I'm still a little worried that I'm going to go and then walk out and be like, well, that was fucking terrible. Anyway, this is hot gaming news.
Well, the part about Advent Children's, that's why I mentioned it. I thought that was fun. We all love Advent Children. Remember the Genoshan virus? And
anyway, there's another piece of hot gaming news. Rockstar has announced that they are working on Grand Theft Auto 6 finally. And I think
they announced that like a year ago.
No, I think that they announced that
there
they're
was a
releasing
leak.
a trailer.
Oh, that was a huge leak.
No. They've announced this week that there's like a trailer coming or something.
yeah.
So, that's not really particularly my bag, but some people will be excited about that.
I like those open world drivey shooty games. And it'll be nice to have one that doesn't have a dude protagonist. Like the only ones of those I liked 4 a lot because I thought those had like 4 and the spin-offs, the DLC stories all had
4 with Nico.
Yeah, Nico, and then there's the one with the biker and the one with Gay Tony's assistant. That was a lot of fun.
I like those too. I'm really interested to see if the GTA writing has evolved at all to be. I mean, in 5 I thought it was a little
5
tighter, but
so
it was
much. I didn't finish it.
I agree with you, John. Is that it's like all the women characters are just the worst.
Yeah,
they were so mean to all the lady characters. I'm hoping that they move beyond that and make something that I can like fully enjoy.
Well, there is going to be a lady protagonist. At least one of the playable characters is a lady in this one, so
okay.
Hopefully she's likable.
I did have a final piece of semi-game related news, which is that listeners, you may have heard that The Escapist lost its entire video department this week.
Yeah, that's bonkers.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
They fired the editor-in-chief, and then Yahtzee, Croshaw, and the rest of the video people over there all kind of quit in solidarity with the guy, whose name I don't know. And unfortunately, that is the end of Zero Punctuation, which I imagine people recognize the name of but haven't watched in a long time. I do still watch it sometimes. It's not appointment viewing for me. But I still think the guy's Yahtzee is a smart guy. He's a bit obnoxious, but I still watch Jim Sterling sometimes too. Like, anyway, and they've already announced their next project that they're working on called Second Wind, which will probably be a Patreon-backed video series. I wish them well. I guess that Escapist owns Zero Punctuation, so that's officially dead, which is kind of a bummer. I actually just recently watched through. He started a series about a year ago called Extra Punctuation that was like not reviews, just discussing gaming topics. And I think that he's a smart guy that makes a lot of good points about gaming. And he's usually on the right side of stuff, like microtransactions are garbage and live services are garbage and stuff that seems obvious, but people still buy into. And speaking of, kind of an aside of that, which most people probably know, that Waypoint Radio, which was originally Vice Gaming, that had Patrick Klepek and a bunch of other people.
Austin Walker.
Yep, Austin Walker.
Big one,
and
Rob Zachney.
Had gotten, what is her name? She wrote for Kotaku for a long time, and I loved her.
Gita Jackson?
Gita Jackson, yes. I like, it had a lot of people that I liked, and it got shut down not too recently. It's been a while. And I recently, while I was reading about what had happened with Zero Punctuation and The Escapist, learned that they also had moved on and launched their own project called Remap Radio. So I'm probably going to be checking that out myself pretty soon. I've been reading some of the articles on the website. It's the same stuff that was on similar articles that were on Waypoint, which is not inundating you with every piece of news. It's mostly just opinion pieces that are thoughtful and well-written. And so, yeah, if you ever liked that stuff and maybe you missed the boat on it like I did, check out remapradio.com. It's good. I like it. So
I think there's another post corporate shutdown thing. I think it's maybe a spin-off of another spin-off of the Zero Punctuation thing I read about called Aftermath. That features some other game journalists. That's kind of going.
I thought that was involving Yahtzee too. Is that not?
I thought it was too. I thought that was a Yahtzee thing.
I might have been wrong. Let's look that up. I thought I saw a tweet that said
you're right. That is a thing that you're on the right. But I thought Aftermath was a 0 punctuation thing, but I could be wrong.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. Second Wind is probably maybe that's his new video series. I don't know. I will definitely be checking it out eventually. I hope that it's the type of thing that they put on YouTube so that anybody can watch it and, depend on Patreon backers for extra stuff like we do, frankly, with our podcast. But
yeah, I like
this isn't our job.
I think it's really, I think it's really cool that like the defector method of self-funding your own like little news outlet, it actually works. If you have the right model set up, like the right subscriber model.
It's about having the right personalities, right? Like if you've got personalities that people are going to come read. Like Defector's great, but me and everybody I know that signed up for it, which was a few people, basically all did it for Drew McGarry. We all wanted to read more of his content. And he writes for SF Gate, which is San Francisco Gate, I think. A website, and I read his articles on there as well. But it's similar. Like, whatever Yahtzee moves on to, I will probably go and check it out just because even though his angry gamer shtick gets a little old, he
sort of moved on a little from it. He's still sassy.
He's still sassy, but he's not pissed off all the time. He's still mean though, but I don't mind that so much.
Yeah.
But I feel like I said, I think the guy makes good points and is a smart. He's not whatever. So like but it does work when you have the right people, the right personalities. You can make it work.
Bungie has laid off a lot of employees recently. The Embracer is threatening to close down Free Radical Design. They're the ones that did Time Splitters. I don't know what they've done lately.
Yeah, what have they done?
They I don't know. I guess there was a Time Splitters fairly recently. But basically Embracer, when money was free, bought up all those different companies and now are like, oh, we're supposed to actually make money and not just spend it. We don't know how to do that. Yep. We have to fire everybody.
Yep. I mean, didn't we kind of assume this was gonna happen when they bought all of these properties and studios?
Because they bought way too many and they had no experience. So
yeah,
it's a bummer.
I mean, they were originally THQ Nordic, but it's not a lot of the same people from when that was happening.
Yeah, I saw that they shut Jezebel down today too. Which is
that is a bummer. I have not read a Jezebel story in fucking 2 years, but there was a period when that was one of my favorite.
Well, they do some of the best abortion policy reporting.
Smaller journalist stuff just does better outside of the grasp of venture capitalists that want to maximize return. Like if you can just pay people salaries, that's all you need. You don't need. I mean, obviously, I want people to do well and be successful, but I think that going back to a smaller business model works. It does mean that you're basically indebted to your listeners and they can get a sense of ownership of you. Maybe it's harder to take breaks and have vacations and stuff. And I hope that they can, when they're their own bosses, still continue to give themselves time off.
Yeah.
Like Jeff Gerstmann, after he left Giant Bomb, he does his own Patreon thing and he had a newborn baby like 2 weeks ago and he's still doing like 3-hour podcast episodes. And I literally 2 weeks ago.
A lot of those guys are basic, and I understand that they want to be independent, but it seems like they just do these streams where they're just like asking for money the whole time, and it seems kind of sad.
He's not doing that, at least.
Yeah.
Hey, why don't we talk about how we leveled up?
Ooh.
It's kind of a longish hot gaming news for us. Who wants to go first? Johnny.
Sure. So I watched this movie. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Oppenheimer.
No, I haven't heard of that.
I saw it on the IMAX 70mm screen.
Theaters?
Yeah. Well, but this is like there's 2 theaters, I think, or maybe 1 theater left in Vancouver showing the film version. So
Oh,
That's cool.
So I saw it on film.
The way it was meant to be seen, according to the director.
I don't know if you know the background, but basically, U.S. realized suddenly they were in a race with the Nazis, for basically understanding the concept of coolness. And the Nazis were just surging far ahead in their cool research. And Oppenheimer realized if you get a giant pair of sunglasses and put it on the Statue of Liberty, that could really... it's a dangerous thing, and people will be killed, but it will, I think, be worth it to end World War II.
Mm-hmm.
John, I think you're mixing up the plot of Oppenheimer with the dream I told you about the other day, where I was
really?
in my dream. The government
No. Please don't tell us about your dream on the air. I will cut this.
Oh, I will. I have to. I have to.
Dream talk.
I already
have
did,
to explain Johnny's
Yeah, but when
reference.
you said it was funny. Now he's gonna fucking explain it, which is gonna make it not funny. It's just gonna be a boring 2 minutes.
No, it's a funny dream. In my dream, the government launched a project to make the Statue of Liberty cooler because nobody liked her anymore. And when they did that, they made her look all casual with her arms crossed, like someone you'd see in a 90s promotional photograph.
Yeah.
But
Janine
people thought it didn't
Garofalo
look cool
position.
enough. Yeah, so I was on the marketing team for it, and they're like, we need to make the Statue of Liberty look cooler. How do we do it? And I was like, big pair of sunglasses. So I was tasked with finding a big pair of sunglasses for the Statue of Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
And then I woke up.
Aww. Well, it was such a great dream. I had to mention it. And there was my dream where I had, I guess like a bit like, Gene and Bob's Burgers. I had a keyboard where it had those like demo rap beats that I could just start laying down. And I kept doing that anytime Vanessa started talking and she felt the urge to rap. And now I realize I should take Patreon funds and make this dream a reality.
That would actually be a pretty good bit. I would enjoy that.
But Vanessa would have to learn how to freestyle without using the line, my name is blank and I'm here to say, and cannot end any rhymes with major way. She has to drop those from her repertoire before I'm willing to do this.
She also can't start anything with well.
Oh yeah. Well, my name is Vanessa. I'm here to say.
All right. Well, for all that stuff that I'm going to have to cut out, can we?
Doesn't Fresh Prince start with well?
No.
It starts in West Philadelphia.
Well,
I watched like 2 seasons of Fresh Prince over the last weekend.
Oh, okay. Well.
What did you think of Oppenheimer, Johnny?
Yeah. It was good. I didn't like I loved it. And if I ever work on a project with Christopher Nolan and this is going out, I have no critiques. Even the sound design, which is very loud and kind of obnoxious at times. I mean, by obnoxious, I mean perfect.
You just sign up for that in a Nolan film. You can't escape it.
Was there?
It's true.
Every location change prefaced with giant white words across the screen?
No, that was more Hannah. I always think of Hannah as the movie that really did that.
I think that's a good movie.
Hannah.
That movie has one of my favorite fight scenes in it.
To me, it's the Daniel Craig Bond movies. All do that.
Interesting. And Control does that.
I don't think I ever. Well,
I fucking love it when Control and Alan Wake do that.
Just ripping it off. I don't think I ever saw Hannah, so I can't really speak to that when that came out.
Hannah rocks.
Yeah, I do remember that, but I never watched it.
But yeah, to John's point, whenever in like Control and Alan Wake, when you get
Alan
the
Wake
big like
it.
chapter things, love it.
I am enjoying Alan Wake. It's a pretty cool game.
I guess we could all, I think we're all going to talk about it more. So we've all been playing Alan Wake, so we won't get too deep into that. And I've been playing the new Gran Turismo 7 update. It added a new course in Lake Louise, British Columbia. It's the first Canadian track in Gran Turismo.
I can't believe you're not talking about your biggest accomplishment of the week, Johnny.
What's that?
You ended the SAG-AFTRA strike.
Oh, yeah. I did end the SAG-AFTRA strike. It was my great ploy. I was like, hey, guys, I know, like, you want AI replace actor, but actor don't want AI. And the only reason you want AI is because you're embarrassed because a man in a striped checkered suit and a straw hat came in and did a whole song and dance and made you buy $5,000 worth of AI servers, and now you realize you were duped. But, you just got to get over it. He conned you.
AI is cool.
You're in trouble
it's
with a
great.
capital T, which rhymes with A, and AI is short for AI.
AI is great and is going to be very useful in a lot of technologies. And one of them is not writing things or fucking replacing actors or replacing anybody, basically. Like, AI is great to, like, help pilots fly planes and things like that. And it is not great to replace humans that need to do jobs. Like, how is this complicated? Also, it's not great on Twitter because, God, everything about Twitter these days is garbage. In fact, it infuriates me when you guys send me Twitter links. Like, stop it. Get off of that website. It's garbage. You're contributing to the downfall of the human race. Anyway, I'm going to go check my Facebook.
So, Matthew,
Yes,
how
sir.
did you? Oh, also, I watched The Music Man, which is why I keep referencing The Music Man.
Monorail, monorail.
Music Man's a very good musical. All the salespeople at the on the train reminded me so much of who basically those people are today tech bros who are laptop laptop lifestyle tech bros they're the same people.
You say so.
They're the people that wear the Patagonia vests.
Matthew, how do you level up?
Ugh, my eyes are bothering me and I'm stuffy and it's really not pleasant. Like, and why does this
It's more of
happen
a level down.
right when we start recording? Like, I was fine all fucking day. Okay, I watched a couple of new things that I wanted to briefly talk about. The first one is that I watched the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. What do y'all know about Five Nights at Freddy's?
There's a sexy glam rock bear robot that people make a lot of art for.
Okay.
I know that it was written by a guy who's fiercely Christian.
That there's people inside those robots that they got squished inside there and they died.
Children.
Oh, gross. And it's a game that scares kids.
Yes, I watched it with my son, who is a big Five Nights at Freddy's fan, and he loved it. And I thought it was trash.
Is it the goosebumps of a new generation, Matthew?
Man,
like something that people will love.
Well, I'll tell you
20
this
years.
much. So here's the big problem that I think that the movie has. It does not adapt the first Five Nights at Freddy's. It adapts several Five Nights at Freddy's into a movie that basically adapts the first game, but jams in a shitload of lore and backstory that was not present in that first game. And I think that's
that first
where they
game was just
really
like
fuck
you were
up.
hired to watch
You're
cameras.
overnight security. Yeah.
The first game was barely a game, but it's a good jump scare game. And I think that the premise of a rundown old Chuck E. Cheese where the animatronics come to life and murder people at night is a pretty good idea. This movie wastes all of that. And I was talking with my son about it after, and what I said to him is that the problem is that they've got a great premise for a good horror movie, and instead of sticking to that, they have to jam in all this lore and stuff that fans want to see, and it just turns into, by the middle of the movie, so the movie is a security guard is hired to work overnight at this Freddy Fazbear's, I don't know what you call those things, Chuck E. Cheese ripoff, family fun zone. That's been shut down for a long time. He has
Child casino.
He is taking care of his young sister, who's their parents have died, and he is haunted by another sibling that was kidnapped years ago. Not literally haunted, but haunted like he is really fucked up over it and is desperate to solve find his missing brother. He's hired by Matthew Lillard. Listen, listeners, I'm just going to go ahead and talk spoilers here. He's hired by Matthew Lillard. And for 45 minutes, it does a decent job of being like a pretty decent horror movie. There's some like rough patches. Like there's a point where like a biker gang breaks into the place during the day and all of the animatronics murder them. And it literally is just the most jammed in, like, we need to show that these things kill people so that they're scary, but we don't want to hurt any of our main characters. Like, it was real weak, right? And then it goes off the rails, where basically the security guard and his little sister, his baby sister, she's not a toddler, but she's a preteen, like befriend the haunted, murderous animatronics. And there are literally scenes of like the little girl like playing with the evil animatronics. And it's like, that's halfway through the movie. And I was just like, what has happened? Like, what are you doing? You have ruined any sense of like atmosphere or any ability to make these things scary. Like, now they're their buddies. Like, what is going on? And I get the premise is that these things are filled with the souls of dead children and that they play with the girl because she's a child and whatever, but it just ruins it. And then the movie kind of flips everything on its head when you realize that Matthew Lillard is one of the things, but he's just Matthew Lillard in his suit. It's called a spring lock. That has a lot of connotations in regards to the games, but it doesn't really do a great job of explaining what that means.
Were you excited at the streamer cameo? Apparently one of the streamers that helped make the game famous had a cameo in it. And everyone's like, oh, there he is. There's the streamer. His name is Matt Pat.
Yeah, Connor noticed that and called it out.
So I have a question about that, because there's another streamer, Markiplier, who's funding and starring in his own video game adaptation that's going to come out in 2024. How do you guys feel about streamers being actors now? Is that a thing? Is that a thing that you're excited to see more of?
Why would anybody be excited for that?
I'm not 15. I feel like my opinion on that is not necessary.
I'm kind of like, I've never watched a full Markiplier video. I know of him, but I'm kind of excited about the movie that he's making. I think it's pretty cool. Hey, the game he's adapting is pretty dope.
Anybody can be a good actor. You never know. So it can go either way. Anyway, what was really weird is that towards the end of the movie, when Matthew Lillard is revealed to be the villain, he basically just goes full Scream 1. Like it's very clear that they were
knives
not
and
a good
stuff.
way. Like, it's very clear that they were like, remember Scream 1? Do that again. Like, now you're crazy guy. And it was bad. And I don't know, like, I think Matthew Lillard was the one that kidnapped the guy's brother, and that the brother was in one of the robot suits or something. It was terrible. It was not good. And I'm glad that I got to watch it with my son and he had a good time, but it's one of those things that's very clearly made for the fans. But as just somebody who doesn't know anything about it, just trying to watch a scary movie, like, it's not scary and it's barely a movie. It's mostly just exposition about the lore of the games, and you're going, okay, cool.
You know, I know that doesn't make for a good movie, but if they made a movie about a game that I was really or a game series that I was really obsessed with, and it was like a bunch of lore references, I'd be like, oh yeah,
yeah, I get it.
Oh yeah, give me that.
Is that why you love the Silent Hill show?
No, I haven't watched that yet. In fact, you know, the first time I ever walked out of a movie theater angry was when I saw the Silent Hill movie. When I was like 18.
I don't think it's that bad. Like, I think it's a watchable horror movie. I've never fucking played Silent Hill, so I was like, okay, yeah.
It's like 50. You know, when you said an adaptation that was trying to cram in a bunch of stuff from games, that's what that first Silent Hill did. It's like an adaptation of the first like 2.5 Silent Hill games.
Anyway, Five Nights at Freddy's, it was bad. I did quickly want to say I finished that Pluto show that came out on Netflix recently, and it was fucking good. It is an anime, is just to remind people, it is an anime that is based on a manga that was written and drawn by some guy whose name I can't remember that has done several other like critically acclaimed projects and beloved projects. And
Justin Roiland.
Pluto was an adaptation of an Astro Boy plot line that this guy came and turned it into like a neo-noir murder mystery thriller. And it's 8 episodes. It's a limited series. It's not a show that you have to go back to, that's going to come out with more seasons. And it was legitimately fantastic. I loved it. Like it is a very emotional show. It's a very sad show. It's about AI and what is intelligence and, human rights, robot rights in the future. It's really fucking good. Go check that out. And finally, on Jim's suggestion, I watched a show called Goosebumps. It was bad. That's not fair. It wasn't bad. It was mid. It was very mid,
Yeah, it's mid.
It's a very mid show. I really wanted to like it more than I did. It does not do straight adaptations of the Goosebumps books. It just kind of... Chuggy. It just kind of... I do like mid, okay? Mid is a great term. +1 for Gen Z on mid. I like it. Jim does not agree with me on all of these points, but my take on Goosebumps was not very good actors for the most part. A couple decent actors in there. It does this like overarching season-long plot and kind of loosely adapts a few of the Goosebumps books into this overarching plot, and it really, I think, does like a real disservice to all of them. It does Say Cheese and Die. It does, what's the one with the mask called? Monster Mask or something?
Haunted Mask. It does Cuckoo Clock of Doom.
It does, though it did have some good goo effects with the Cuckoo Clock of Doom stuff.
Yeah, that was good. It did the Night of the Living Dummy, which was kind of the overarching
part of the overarching plot. The overarching plot was like Nightmare on Elm Street
it's the
meets
worst
I
part
Know
of the
What
show.
You Did Last Summer. And the problem is that it pretty quickly, I felt like, abandons the idea of like, we'll do Goosebumps stories. And by halfway through the season, it's just like, we're doing the overarching plot now. And also Night of the Living Dummy is 95% of it. Like, it was fucking... I did it.
What was the Worms one? What was the Worms?
Oh yeah,
Goosebumps
that's
book that they
like
referenced.
Dare Me to Eat Worms or something like that.
Go eat worms.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Yeah.
So they don't adapt them in ways that would be recognizable, other than in the loosest sense, to anybody that read those as a kid. Listen, they're not masterpieces, and I can understand like updating them and adapting them, but this doesn't really do that. It's more like referencey than anything. My favorite Goosebumps was always that Monster Mask one, and it's just like a side plot for like one episode. It was nothing. Mm-hmm. And honestly, it was really disappointing. But then on top of that, you get this terrible overarching plot of that's just like I said, it is Nightmare on Elm Street meets I Know What You Did Last Summer, and it's not good. Justin Long is in it, and he's actually maybe the best part of the show. He's really good. Yeah. I was saying early on to Jim, I was like, "Oh, get Justin Long, get out of here! Like you can do better than this."
You've really changed your tune.
Well, no,
here
I didn't, because I
Justin
still
Long.
think that he should get out of there. He can do better than this, but he worked with it. He was the best part of the show. Him and Rob Hubel.
Yeah.
The teen actor. I couldn't decide if the teen actors were bad or if the dialogue was bad, because sometimes I was like, "Oh yeah, this kid's charming." Like, I can see this kid as, like, a decent actor, but then they would, like, say something, and I'd be like, oh, Jesus Christ. That's the cringiest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And speaking of, Jim, why don't you tell me how you leveled up by telling me what you thought about Goosebumps?
Sure, yeah. I watched it. And the full season hasn't been released yet, so, like, this is not a final judgment.
Yeah, real weird, though. Like, we talked about this. It ended. It ends. And then it ends so hard that they have to give you a... like next episode on, which they had not done for the whole season, because clearly they realized like, everybody's going to think this show is over because we ended it. It's over.
Yeah. I will say that I did like it for the most part. To your question about whether it's the younger actors or the script. I think it's the script. Especially the lead teen character who plays Isaiah in the show. I thought he was excellent.
He was the one that
and
I
thought the main
was like, this kid is like, maybe he's a good actor. Sometimes I was like, maybe this kid is a good actor, but then sometimes I was like, ugh, don't talk.
Yeah, that kid, the reason why I thought he was good was he delivered every line, even the bad ones, with such conviction, where I was like, oh, I believe that. I
felt like
he's just a good actor.
I felt like he's a very charismatic person. Like, I came through
he
on the
is.
screen.
He has screen presence. Yeah. Like, he's a good actor. But I think the worst part about it is that for the first few episodes, I was kind of excited. I was like, because they were kind of backing their way into these old Goosebumps plots in the context of what they were presenting on the show. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a clever way to do it. But then, after 4 or 5 episodes, they completely abandon that. And it turns into like a YA soap opera. You end up with episodes that are kind of dedicated to their parents' affairs. It's just a lot of that, and it's like, this is Goosebumps, man. I don't care about what's going on. I don't care about the family drama. I want more spooky stuff.
I mentioned this in the chat, but there's one line, and that really had me question, like, is this a show for children where 2 of the parents are having an affair with each other and in a hotel, and one of them gets up and goes to the bathroom and comes back and it's like, I just washed my crotch with hotel soap, and I was like, do you think I'm gonna let my kids watch this? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, it's and there's it turned very soapy, and I thought that was kind of the worst part of it. Yeah, and so but I think for the most part it's pretty good. I actually do think all the teens that are in it are good. It's just the story does kind of a disservice to them. I will agree with you, though. I think Rob Hubel and Justin Long are very good in it. Justin Long doing actually some really great physical comedy in it. He
does physical comedy.
He does some good trip and falls. He does a lot of pretending to be jerked around by being possessed by a ghost. It's fun to watch. It felt like the most kid showy thing that was in it, so I liked it. Outside of Goosebumps, I did play more Alan Wake. I did a second playthrough of Alan Wake 2 and locked up my platinum trophy. Got my platinum Chivo. And I will say I noticed even more great references in my second playthrough that I'm excited to talk about with you guys. We should also let our listeners know this month's Patreon bonus is going to be a discussion of Alan Wake 2. So that'll be released by the end of November. So if you'd like to check that out, you're not currently a patron, you can sign up for our Patreon at patreon.com/SquareRootsPodcast. And let me tell you, I've got a lot to say about Alan Wake 2. It's like they kind of set up a whole Remedy connected universe, and boy golly, I am excited to get into that. It's so cool, and I think it's really well done. And Alan Wake 2 is such a unique thing, and it's you could tell that the people that made it just did not compromise on anything other than the vision that they had for the game, and it's just so cool to see something like that work so well. So I'm really excited to get it.
I've only played the first couple of chapters, but so far I'm really digging the FBI investigation, noirish.
Oh yeah, just wait till the FMV stuff kicks in, and
it's fun.
It is.
It's FMV.
It's man, it just works so well.
There's some stuff in it so far that's I don't know how to describe it, where it's like when they realize that the town is they're dealing with ghosts, and they're just like, guess we're dealing with ghosts. And part of me is I get that Alan Wake is kind of writing this into existence, and that's why they're all just accepting it. But also I feel like they're kind of having their cake and eating it too, where it's but also you're doing it and it's stupid.
Yeah, I kind of like that they explain that in a sense. In Saga's character is very much the deductive reasoning detective, where it's well, if there's no other way to explain this, then maybe it does have to be. That's kind of her train of thought, which kind of makes sense. And they've done that in other media. Stephen King has a character like that named Holly Ghibli, who is very much like basically a Saga Anderson.
I can't find any other way to explain this, and so therefore this crazy thing must be true, is also every conspiracy theory online. Every single one.
I know in a real world practical application, it doesn't work, but I think in horror fiction, supernatural fiction, I think it can work. And I think Alan Wake makes it work well. But anyways, that's enough leveling up. Let's get into Final Fantasy IV, my dudes.
Oh, I had a special request. Give me some double bass drums, please. No, double bass is.
Oh, maybe Jim can do that.
Jim, give me some double bass drums. Jim, stop jerking off and give me some double bass drums.
What are we doing?
You have to keep going so he can do his quest log intro.
That's the whole thing. I don't have a whole song.
Quest log! We're gonna be questing! Go on adventure! Quest log! We're gonna kill God!
You cut that together into something good. You can loop Jim's drums and add, do some harmonics between me and you.
All right. So,
Quest log
welcome
time.
to the quest log.
Yeah, we love a quest log, doing questy things, going on adventures.
I like how much plot this game has had so far. Like, it's had a lot.
Yep.
Like, it's very plot heavy, and the plot is not bad. Like, I'm interested in what's going on.
I would say the version I'm playing, it's hard to know what's going on because it's so poorly written. But you get the gist of it anyways, like Golbez is bad.
I did turn
Cecil
on the
is sad.
I did turn on the 2 times experience and 4 times Gil, and oh boy, that makes things a lot easier.
Yeah.
Like, I am 3.5 hours into this game. How far are you into it, Johnny?
4, maybe.
Oh wow, okay. Well, and I do like being able to turn off. Like I had to head out of the dungeon at the end of this, and I was like, "No encounters, thank you."
I think I was at 420 because I remember going like, "Yeah," when I saved after the choker. Nice.
It's the wrong number.
Doob time.
All right. Anyway, so the quest log. Last time we defeated the antlion and obtained the sand ruby, and we head straight back to Kaipo and give Rosa the sand ruby, which cures her. The old man that I guess owns the house that she's been resting in is like, "You're like family now, and come back anytime. We love you." It was the weirdest fucking thing. Like, she's been passed out this whole time, my man. Like, you haven't spoken a word to her, but she's like family now? Okay, that's not weird at all. It is.
Mm-hmm. And the lady's like, "You fell down. We stopped you from falling down." A lot of people in town talk about stopping her from falling down.
The party decides to rest for the night, and Edward wakes up in the middle of the night, and he goes outside to play the harp by the water, where he's attacked.
I thought this scene when I was a teen was so cool. I don't know why. Like, I don't know. It was like a real dramatic moment that didn't have anything to do with gameplay. And, I played stuff like Final Fantasy 1 and Phantasy Star in 1992. And maybe Phantasy Star 3 and Hyde, like, and all the Sierra games and stuff. But it was nice seeing, like, just a moment of emotionality. Like that they could just sort of take a moment to really explore this character's side story and all that. For the time, it was pretty cool.
I mean, I think it's good. I like that the game is taking the time to just do short little bits on character. Like, that's a good thing. So he goes outside, he plays the harp, and he's attacked by a Sahagin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure I'm
That's
saying that
the
wrong.
Fishmans.
And he...
In Final Fantasy VII Remake, the Sahagins were like Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I love them. And once you defeat that, Anna's ghost appears and says goodbye, and it's kind of touching. Like, it's a real emotional moment. I mean, I'm not.
Well, I noticed
pretty good.
she's telling so he's getting attacked and he's like, I don't know what to do. And at least in the Super Nintendo version, it seemed like every time she told him to be brave, his stats went up and he was doing more damage on the Sahagins.
Oh.
Which were called something dumb like Merman or something.
Oh, interesting.
So in the morning, the group decides that they need to head to Fabul, whatever, to warn them.
I always said Fabul.
To warn them that Baron is going to be coming after the Wind Crystal. And so we take Edward's hovercraft to Mount Hobbs. And then at Mount Hobbs, we have to
Have we
get
talked
out
about
and-
how cool that hovercraft is?
Yeah, it's really great. I wish that we had it the whole game.
It's pretty cool.
You get to use it in a very
it's
limited
always-
area.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back
It's
and
kind
use
of
it.
the. It's kind of like the tiny Bronco from Final Fantasy VII.
Yes.
That's only useful in like crossing rivers.
Remember, there was the car. You could rent a car in
The buggy.
in 8 as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you get that car like at the beginning of the game
Yeah.
when you're going to the first town. You drive it back and forth from the school.
And you can get that any time. And it's the thing since the first Final Fantasy game that you have all these different vehicles, and Phantasy Star has different vehicles as well. So I don't know. It's something about the like when they're still trying to figure out how JRPGs worked. It was I don't know, it's a cute early JRPG thing that I love. It's the little vehicles.
So we enter Mount Hobbs, and there's a big, like, ice, like a glacier blocking our path. And so now Rydia has to learn the fire spell finally, because she has not had it in her repertoire. And it's neat.
Yeah, Rosa, because Cecil is far too dark and glum and moody to talk Rydia into anything. Rosa is finally there, and she can be like, listen, you need to set shit on fire.
Yeah.
I don't care if your mom and your whole village died and burned to death.
So we head up the mountain. It's a short dungeon, but at the top we run into a monk named Yang, and he is under attack.
Mad Yang.
We get to take over as Yang to fight off some enemies, and then he joins our party, and the 5 of us fight a big boss, and the boss was called the Mom Bomb.
I love the
John,
Mom
wasn't
Bomb.
Yang? Wasn't before Yang is introduced? Didn't they call him like something ninja?
They call him Karate Man
Karate Man. That's
in
it.
the Super Nintendo version, and every time anyone from Fabul does their ninja kicks, they say "achoo." I don't know why. Instead of like the hiya, I guess, is achoo, including the trans-panic moment that you get in Fabul that you mentioned last time.
I did a hiya in public at a store the other day and really embarrassed my girlfriend. we were walking into a sporting goods store, and it came upon one of those switches to automatically open the door, like if you're disabled. And it was perfect height for me to kick it and do a hiya, and I did it really loud, and she was.
I mean, I would be
There's a
embarrassed if
lot
somebody
of those-
kicked one of those as well. Those aren't toys, Jim.
There's a lot of signs
Those are
say
for
"do not
disabled
kick."
people?
Yeah, there's a lot of signs about that.
And I
on
think you're
those
canceled
around
now.
Here. Yeah, sorry there, Jim. So introduced to the new character. His class obviously is Monk or Karate Man if you are playing the Super Nintendo version.
Boy. He introduces himself, and he tells us that he came to the mountain with a group of men, a group of monks, to
Yeah, he
train. But,
Train.
to train.
Wink. You needed some time away from my wife with the boys. Wink.
To do some anal training.
Yeah.
A lot of plugs involved. So,
All right, Goatsy.
but his,
No, we're a goatee-free podcast.
all of his men were slain by a swarm of beasts. And he kind of, I think here says like, and these were like the best men from my town. So we left a bunch of recruits back home, and now the town is fucked. And Cecil tells Yang about the danger that's coming, that Baron is coming, and Yang agrees to join the party, and we travel together. We head down Mount Hobbs.
This is where you can fight gargoyles and cockatrices. In the Super Nintendo.
Cockatrice.
They're just called Cock Trick in the Super
really?
Nintendo version.
Cock
And
Trick?
I took a screen grab of it or screenshot of it with my phone, and then I wrote on the Facebook group, the Square Roots podcast group for smart, cool, very attractive people group. Hey, want to see my cock trick? And I got banned for 24 hours, and they deleted my photo and the post. I got in Facebook jail.
Yeah, you got
for my
zucked.
cock trick. I got zucked.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, if just hearing you describe it, I would think he's posting a dick pic.
It was a bird.
Want to see my?
It was a bird.
I know.
And so there is no, I don't believe in this version that stoned is a battle condition in the Super Nintendo version, because there's no soft. So if your character gets stoned, they just die immediately. So the cock trick,
we call it petrified, John.
yeah. So whenever this bird does its beak attack, if it hits and applies the status ailment, your character just dies in this version. Immediately.
That didn't
It's
happen to
very
me
weird.
once.
Well, that's
me
the Super
either.
Nintendo. Yeah, that's the original crappy version. They fixed it in later releases.
So we leave Mount Hobbs and we head to Fabul Castle, where we meet their king. And the king, we tell him what's about to happen. That Baron
He's
is
not
coming.
into Cecil. He does not want to have any Dark Knights helping him.
No, well, why would you? I mean, he's like a necromancer. He's evil.
He does constantly lick the goblin blood off of his sword
Yeah, he does.
while looking at you right in the eyes.
And
It's a real Matthew Lillard. I'll stop. I'm stopping talking.
I mean, nobody said you had to stop talking. But he does request our assistance in defending the castle from the Baron invasion. And so Edward, Yang, and Cecil are sent to defend the castle entrance, and Rosa and Rydia are left behind, though they're left behind to act as healers, basically, which does make sense. Someone added something to my notes here. So say your joke. Whoever added this.
Oh, yeah. So he does, in the Super Nintendo version, tell the girls, come to the office, join the Office of Respite. And
Office of Relief.
Office of Relief, sorry. And I was like, is he telling them to have a meeting in the ladies' room? He's like, girls, we're all going to the bathroom. We're going to talk about boys.
That's what I thought too. Like, is he telling them to go take a shit?
And
I think he's telling them to go
believe
powder their
he's-
noses.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to be sure, best go powder your nose. Best go powder your nose, because you want to look good. For when you step on the floor, all the eyes are watching you.
Jim, do you get this joke that he's making? This is what
No.
we need
80s
Vanessa.
band
Okay, this is what
climax.
Vanessa is for. She gets his
No,
fucking obscure
she doesn't-
references.
I feel like if you would have pulled that ahead a few years and maybe done like a Shania Twain, man, I feel like a
Oh,
woman.
God, I'm not going to do that
reference.
Trumpy Canadian. She doesn't.
Is she Trumpy?
She's Trumpy. She doesn't deserve my support.
They're all
No
They're all-
way.
She's Trumpy.
I
Danielle
think Shania
Smith,
Twain is so
Alberta
hot.
bullshit.
Now I'm just so disappointed.
Anyway, yeah, no thanks. But I would do an En Vogue reference. Is that
Okay,
new enough
yeah.
for you?
Does that really? It doesn't hit the same in this context, I feel like.
Okay.
But I'll allow it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I gotta look up Shania Twain. Is she really a right winger?
I believe so. I could be wrong. Let me know.
Isn't she
so
on
this
Masked Singer now or something? I've been seeing a lot of ads. That's the redhead, right? Or is that
something.
Reba McEntire? I think I'm thinking
now
of
Reba
McEntire.
McEntire is a diva, and she's great. I have no qualms with Reba McEntire. She can sing "The Night the Lights Went Down in Georgia" all she wants. So I guess what
I think you guys want to know something about me.
What?
For the last 20 years, probably
You've been
more
a
than
Trump
that.
supporter?
I've thought
We know.
Reba
You don't have to tell
McEntire.
us.
I thought Reba McEntire has been so hot. I think Reba's
She's
hot, man.
I mean,
You're just into country
anybody with that
ladies.
like fire red hair is hot, basically. Like you can.
Oh, I agree with
Doesn't
you.
matter.
I agree with you.
Anyway,
It's like
so,
how all those AI portraits where the guys are like, look at these hot girls we made in AI instead of the ugly ones in video games. And it just looks like Lunette from the Big Comfy Couch, but with red hair.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just my personal bit. So I think what he's trying to say is you guys tend to the wounded while us men take the front line.
Yeah.
But she's a summoner. She can summon like a kick-ass.
She can summon
chocobo. She can throw chocobos.
I mean, listen, I'm just saying she probably is more useful casting cure on wounded people. Hey,
if you think
medics
women
are fucking the most important part of any army. Like that's not a joke.
True.
That is not a joke.
I know. I agree. So yeah, ladies to the back.
Yeah.
And you now the thing is, this is one of those
game, right?
times
90s?
where early 90s, one of those times where the game doesn't really line up with, oh no, we're being repelled, but all the fights are super easy. At least, I mean, I know I'd leveled up quite a bit, but still, it wasn't difficult.
Yes, we fight off hordes of soldiers, but we keep getting pushed back, and it's kind of frustrating because, like, you never lose, but then, it's like maybe you need to retreat.
I feel like the difficulty in this game is really inconsistent. Like, I'll be grinding and just having such an easy time of it, and then I'll get in one random encounter with an enemy that I've killed 15 times, and it will attack one of my characters and one-shot him. I feel like that somebody referenced that in our Facebook group where they talked about the porcupine things that are in the early game. Those things are mostly not a threat, but they have one attack that will just obliterate your
that's
character's
true.
HP.
When they shoot the 1,000 needle, not 1,000 needles, that's a cactuar thing, but they shoot their needle attack at you. That does tons of damage.
Yeah, it can one-shot your
It does
mages.
that annoying old JRPG thing where if somebody dies, they don't get experience for the fight. Like, give me a
fucking
give me
hate
a
that
fucking
shit.
break. Anyway, we get pushed back several times, and eventually we end up in the throne room. We get pushed out of the throne room, and there's a little side bit where like Edward falls, and Cecil and Yang have to go like drag him into the crystal room.
And there's one more fight because of that, but again, they're easy fights.
Yeah, they're easy fights,
so it's not a problem.
And the leader always retreats unless you kill him first. So, we get to the crystal room, and then Cain shows up. And Cecil's all, what?
What? His best friend.
Cecil and Cain fight, and Cecil does slap Cain down. Or Cain does slap fucking Cecil down. And, you know, he's a Dragoo. So, Dragoo trump Dark Knight. Watch out, Batman.
Isn't he a dragoon?
Watch out for the Dragoo. What the fuck is
Not
a
a
Dragoo?
dragoon? Dragoon.
Dragoo.
No, there's an N at the end.
No, he's gooey.
Okay.
That's what lets him jump. That's what make him do jump is the goo.
Goes like boing.
Goes like
and he
boing.
goes-
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Why did dragoons have jump powers? Like, what is this? Somebody explain it to me.
When I was a kid and I played Legend of Dragoon and like these games, I thought they could jump high because they had to jump high to get on the dragon's back.
Okay.
I thought he was, but dragoons is like a military term. I don't know why they have the jump ability or how it got. I thought that Cain was like part dragon. He was like a dragon man, like Trogdor, but he's not. He's just a dude with a helmet, but he can jump real high, just like Freya from Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah. It's a weird thing that this game came up with. So Cain, somebody says that, Rosa says that he seems to be under Golbez's spell. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on with Cain, but he does hesitate to kill Cecil.
And that's when the Darth Vader theme starts playing, and who walks in?
God, I wish the Darth Vader theme started playing. I would have a.
Well, it's a very Darth Vader like theme. It's like a da 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 No. Something.
Golbez appears and he kind of berates Kane. He's like, "What the fuck's wrong with you? Like, kill this dude." And Kane's like, "But he's my best friend." But then Golbez blasts Yang and Edward with a lightning spell, and Kane goes and grabs the wind crystal. Cecil cries out to Rosa and is like, "Rosa, no!" And Golbez realizes that Cecil cares for Rosa, so he grabs her and bails. He kidnaps her. And then Kane, with the wind crystal, tells Cecil he won't be so lucky next time. And he also bails. So, cool damsel in distress situation we have going on here.
Does this mean Kane is the Cypher of Final Fantasy IV?
I mean, maybe. It's pretty early. I don't know much about this game, so I don't know what's going to happen with him. But, yeah, probably. I mean, he's kind of Cecil's rival. I don't feel like they set him up as like a tradition. They kind of do set him up as a traditional like manga rival, where like yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And typically, you know, the rival gets ensnared by evil and then has to be killed at the end or freed at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Or join the party, like in Act 3.
Did Cypher end up eating hot dogs with him at the end? Was it?
Cypher died, I thought.
Or is he dead? I can't remember. I thought he was in there at the end, like hanging out with his friends there, Rufus and Raymond.
I forgot about all the hot dogs in that game. Gotta save the hot dogs.
I could have sworn he was in that last, that video that Dum Dum is shooting. Fujin and Raijin are Cypher's buddies. I feel like Cypher shows up at the ending. He graduates.
I think you're right, actually.
Yeah.
I don't remember fucking anything you're talking about. I barely remember that game.
That's all right. Don't worry, buddy.
I remember the hot dogs.
Yeah, there were hot dogs. You remember hot dogs, Matthew.
I don't know anything about hot dogs other than they make comfy pillows.
I really like this introduction of Golbez. I like the theme. I like that he's just a real nasty piece of work right from the beginning. Just shooting down all your friends. It's a real Sephiroth or Kuja kind of intro.
One thing that I'll give to Final Fantasy games
to Kuja, okay? Kuja is extra AF, and this guy's just a guy.
He's shooting lightning at all your party.
Anybody can shoot lightning, Johnny. Two of my characters have thunder spells.
That's true.
All you need is one of those items.
Yeah.
But also, I think, we've played enough of these games now. I think the Final Fantasy games are good at introducing their villains.
Sure.
They always come in and make a pretty big splash. They're always pretty well designed. They're always pretty cruel.
Well, and it helps that this guy
very monologue
was your party member early on. Like, he was your buddy, and then you lost him. And now he's shown back up, and he's kicking your ass.
Well, I'm talking about Golbez.
But
I think like in general, Final Fantasies are really good about showcasing the bad guy in a way that's like, oh, this is the bad guy. I like it. I think they're good.
So Rydia cures everyone with like a big multi-person heal spell. And we rest at the castle, and the party decides that they're going to go rescue Rosa, which makes sense. And they decide that they're going to need an airship to fight Golbez, because he has an airship. So they decide to head to Baron and steal one. And the only way to get there, to sneak in, they decide is via the water. And Yang gets the king to lend them a ship so that they can all sail there.
Now, a ship in a JRPG is like a helicopter in a Resident Evil game. You know that ship is going to crash.
Yeah.
Basically any time.
I don't think if I recall correctly, which I may not, you could tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you control this thing either. It just takes off.
Not this time.
Yeah.
Not this time.
Which is also pretty typical for early in a Final Fantasy game. If you get on a ship, you're not going to control it. Later on, you might get a boat. You might get a ship.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the fact that you can't control it is an even bigger hint that it's probably going to crash.
You're gonna
I feel like every Shining Force every Shining Force game has a Leviathan
I wish we
attack
could
like
do a Shining
this.
Force game on this podcast, actually. I think
can.
that would be really fucking fun.
Well, why not?
I've never played a Shining Force game.
I mean, it's going to be like this in terms of it's this level of story and a little clunky translation and all that, but they're still
down for
fun.
that.
I think the Shining Force games are gorgeous. I love the art of the fights.
Ooh,
I
that's
always
exciting.
liked that. I like that gameplay style. You know, it's like proto-tactical RPG. Like, I prefer like a Final Fantasy Tactics where you've got smaller maps and more like environmental stuff to run around on. But
Oh, that's
they're more
interesting.
like Fire Emblem. But
It's very Fire Emblem-y.
I mean, Fire Emblem is very Shining Forcey. Let's be real. Anyway,
Well, Fire Emblem came first.
did it? I don't. Is that true?
Well, not in North America, but yeah, because Fire Emblem started on the Famicom, so like 1987. or
Oh
88.
wow.
Maybe
You know what I
90.
read today? Speaking of games releasing
Why
in
would
other
we know what
countries,
you read today,
the
Jim?
the Super Mario RPG remake, comes out next week. For certain copies in Japan, like physical copies, some of them are coming packed with an updated version of the original game's instruction manual.
Oh, cool.
Which is like pretty awesome, but it's only in Japan.
bummer.
I would love that.
That was one of
Yeah.
the coolest things about that. What was the name of that game? What's the name of the game where you play? It's like a Zelda-like, but Dark Souls-y, where you play like a little fox man.
Newtopia.
No.
No, you're talking about the one that was on Game
Something
Pass.
with F, right? Finds, friends, firms,
Jim's looking it up.
freebs.
One of the most interesting things about that game is that you would find pages of a game manual in the world. Tunic. You would find pages of the
Something
game
with F.
manual in the world, and they would slowly connect to each other. It wasn't in English or any real language, but you could still, like, just by looking at it, understand. Like, eventually, you'd get a map of the world because you found enough of the pages. That was one of the smartest goddamn things I've seen in a video game in a long time.
I actually liked that too. Tunic is a
Tunic
good
is
game.
a fantastic game.
Good game.
It was a little, it was a little Dark Soulsy. Like, it was a little hard. Where I just kind of wanted.
A little esoteric too, as far as like getting around and but overall, good game.
Anyway, so we get on the ship, and after we set sail, once we get out on the open water, we get attacked by a Leviathan, which looks fantastic, by the way. It comes out of the water, and it's a giant sprite, and it's a giant monster. And it sucks us into a whirlpool, a giant whirlpool. What did you guys think of this?
I loved it. I love any time a ship gets destroyed. Just like I like how people rely on helicopters in games, even though every time they get shot out of the air, like I think every time in Gears of War you step on one of those planes, that plane is going to be shot down.
Johnny Brandon, the Titanic is the opposite of a tragedy.
Yeah,
I
hilarious.
love that ship sank.
Remember when Remember that guy bounced off the propeller?
You know what? Pretty funny. I gotta agree with you there. That's pretty funny.
I'm glad Leonardo DiCaprio died, you know? He deserved it. Ship go down, you die. Anyway, so Cecil wakes up on a beach alone. Your party is gone. And you just basically head east, and now it's just Cecil, which, you know, he's fine, particularly if you've been leveling up or you have like 2 or 4 time experience on if you're playing the Pixel remaster. And you end up in Mysidia. Mysidia, I'm sure you will recall, listeners, is the village from the beginning of the game that Cecil and the Red Barons attacked and murdered a bunch of people and stole their crystal, even though they weren't fighting back.
The tune to this town has the best town music in the game. It's like do 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 do.
John loves it when
great.
when the game soundtrack has a bark in it.
Yeah. This town is so fun.
It is fun.
It's populated entirely by white mages
and black mages.
Black mages.
Yeah.
And they're having a good time.
The first
Is
black
there no
mage,
red mage?
the first black mage that you talk to, like the closest one to the entrance of the town, knows who you are and immediately casts frog on you. And it's great. You can undo it by talking to him again, and then it'll cast frog on you again, and it turns you back into a person. Also, if you go to the bar, there is, as usual, a girl that asks you if you want her to dance, and then she like poisons you and turns you into a pig.
That is great. I like the music that plays, the sort of creepy theme that will show up with a bunch of villains later. It's a good theme.
Yeah, John, you sent a screen cap of your menu screen while your main character was turned into a pig, and his portrait is a pig.
Yeah, a purple pig.
But also like all of the character portraits in this game on the menu screen are so great. Like Palom and Porums are so funny.
Mm-hmm.
All of them are just good.
So
good stuff. Good art direction in this game.
For this, so the next the next little bit of story here is where you go talk to like the leaders of Mysidia, and I decided to do that while turned into a pig. I was curious if it would unpig me for the cutscene. It does not. They don't react to me being there in pig form.
That's one of the things that I appreciate about these, like, the 8 and 16-bit games is that they don't like the cutscenes aren't pre-rendered. So, they don't build the cutscene with the default character model. It's like whatever you're doing with your character just carries into all those scripted cutscenes. I love that.
It's great. So yeah, they're just seriously a dark night. It's just oink, I'm a pig man.
That's actually one of the things that I like about the current like gaming generation is that they're starting to do that more, where like you have more persistent character models and the cutscenes they're all in engine.
Yeah. You can tell
I like, which is one of the benefits, I think, to being in the Unreal Engine is everything's in engine. And so, like, I like that your character models will persist through cutscenes.
In Final Fantasy VII Remake, the first one, you notice any time that it's pre-rendered because Cloud suddenly has a Buster Sword.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't have, like, your cool ass sword anymore. He has a Buster Sword now. But that's only, like, a handful of times in that whole game. Otherwise, like, it's pretty persistent. I just appreciate that continuity through.
I was convinced that there must be some reason that I was being turned into a frog and a pig. Like there must be a tiny door I could go through as a frog, or somebody would only talk to a pig. I spent a lot of time fucking around here trying to figure it out, and there was nothing. It was kind of a bummer.
Yeah, because 3 had that whole mini thing where you could only get through that certain dungeon if you're in mini mode and all that.
So Cecil goes and talks to the elders of the town, and of course they don't trust him. They know who he is, but he talks to them and tries to convince them that he's changed and he wants to stop Baron. And even though they don't really believe him, they decide to help him out, and they tell him that they can go turn his dark sword into a light sword if he heads to Mount Ordeals.
Mm-hmm.
And to help him on his way, they task 2 young twins, Palom and Porum.
Twins? There you go.
With helping him on his way. And they're like prodigies. They're like they're like baby wizards. One is a white mage and one is a black mage, basically. But they do have a great ability. Everybody, I don't think we've talked about it. Everybody has an extra ability in this game, right? Like for Cecil, it's his dark sword.
Sort of.
Everybody has one for...
Well, no, in your version, yes.
Okay, sure.
In my version, they're like, you wouldn't understand this. So they get rid of Cecil's darkness ability. And for Edward, you only have a random song. You don't have a choice of songs to play.
It is a random song in the Switch.
Oh, okay. But yeah, twins, or it's just called Twin.
Twin cast or whatever.
Yeah.
And that does like flare or comet.
It is not always the same spell. It does a spell called Pyro, which tends to do 1,000 damage to everybody. But it also does, I think, Meteor or something, or Comet, like John said.
Yeah, it does Comet.
Comet.
I don't think it'll do Meteor because, that's too powerful.
Meteor's like the forbidden spell in this game.
That's the naughty spell. Donald Duck can cast it, though.
Palom and Porum are great, and they join your party, and we head further east from Mycedia up to Mount Ordeals. Now, I should say, part of the reason that we're talking to the elders and doing this is because there is like a secret tunnel between Mycedia and Baron, and that is what Cecil wants to get to. He wants to get through that tunnel and get to Baron.
And they'll only let you do it if you prove that you can be good. And the only way to prove that you're good is to renounce your darkness.
Mm-hmm. So you head to Mount Ordeals. We get a quick cutscene of Golbez and Cain talking about Cecil and how they need to stop him, like they know what he's doing. Cain wants to go stop him himself. But Golbez decides to send one of his 4 elemental fiends. His name is Scarmiglione.
I think it's Scarmiglione. Scarmiglione.
That's how I always pronounce it. Was Scarmiglione.
Yeah, I make the pasta. You have the pasta.
I think he's the, he's the earth elemental.
Eat it up. Yeah, he's the pasta element.
Golbez sends Scarmiglione to stop.
He's the tomato elemental.
You can never stop my pasta magic. It's delicioso. How do you feel about the 16-bit sprite cutscenes? Like everyone jumping around.
I like it. I mean, it's classic.
I love it. It's cute.
I like it.
So,
how do you guys feel about Palom and Porum?
I mean, that Twincast thing is fucking fantastic.
I think they're cute. I didn't like them as a teen. I was like, ugh, I don't want these kids in my party. I wish I had Cain. He's so moody and cool.
I like him. I like that the boy is like, he thinks he's the best mage ever. They've got a lot of personality, I think. I like it.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're great characters.
Yeah.
So we head back to the mountain with the party. We head up the mountain. Another mountain. How many mountains are in this fucking game? And as we head up the mountain, we run into Tella. Tella! He's here for the meteor spell.
Mm-hmm. I need to have some powerful magics to defeat Golbez. And the kids are like, that stuff will kill you, old man. And then the sister's like, no, call him our elder. There's a lot of that. Yeah, that spell's going to kill him, but he still wants it. He knows that spell will kill him.
So we head up the mountain now we have Tella, Palom, and Porum. So a shitload of mages. And when we reach the peak of the mountain, or almost to the peak of the mountain, we run into...
You also notice your sword will not damage a lot of the enemies. The dark sword is no use against these undead, but you can cast heal on them, which is pretty fun.
I didn't try that. I always forget about that.
Life, I don't know about the Super Nintendo version. I tried casting life on one of them. It didn't help.
I mean, I mostly just use Twincast, and it just fucking destroyed everything. It was great. It was doing 1,000 damage to each monster on the field. So as we reach, or almost before we reach the peak, Scarmiglione attacks us.
Scarmiglione, he has the pasta.
He offers us a bottle of wine. He tries to make us a nice pasta dinner, and we're like, no.
Fresh pepper.
Would you like me to some Parmesan, eh? Fresh Parmesan, eh?
Some for Signore and some for
racist. We have to fight him. He has multiple forms. It's a boss fight. Like, it's a tough fight.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we defeat him, he falls off the mountain and fucking dies. That was funny.
I liked
what did it do in your game?
his-
Did he fall off and then like feather fall and land and go, ouch, my wrist, I have to leave?
It's a Disney death, so I think Nintendo's okay with the Disney death. It's not like you see his guts splay out on the bottom or anything like that. It's not Mortal Kombat.
And we get to the peak of the mountain, and there's a stone altar, and Cecil touches the altar, and it speaks to him and calls him son.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It also mentions a dragon. I don't know.
It didn't in my version, but again, translation not so good. Oh, I should mention, Scarmiglione is called Milon in.
That's a much
my
worse
translation.
name.
Oh, that's a much worse name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a worse name. The mysterious voice guiding him is like, "I'm your father, son."
He doesn't say that.
Oh, you're right.
But he does call him son. And then you kind of get sucked into the altar or something. And it keeps talking to him.
In my version, it's like a mirror. It's like you're at a glass mirror.
Yeah, once you get inside, it's very mirrory. The voice tells him that it's been waiting for him and it's going to entrust him with its power. And then like the Dark Knight version of yourself comes out of a mirror and you have to fight it. But then the voice is telling you the whole time, like, first it's asking you, like, what do you fight for? But then I think it's the Dark Knight that tells you, like, a real light knight wouldn't slay me. Mm-hmm. And you have to stop attacking to win this fight.
Yeah,
which is
because
cool.
it's playing on the whole idea. Whenever you do a darkness attack, it damages you. And so he's damaging himself by attacking you.
Yeah.
Do you have Cure at this point? I think you do.
Yeah. Well, at least in the Super Nintendo.
You can. Like, I felt like I had to level up a bit to get it at this point. I felt like even with the 4 times experience, I had to grind a little bit.
In that fight, I had Cure.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But you don't have a lot of MP.
No,
so you can only use a
like
limited number of
3
times.
times, I believe. But if you don't attack him at all, it's only like 5 rounds. So I knew what to do because I've played this game before.
So after the battle, Cecil transforms. You're no longer a Dark Knight.
He looks lame.
Yeah, he does. I liked the Dark Knight look a lot more. But you're no longer a Dark Knight. You are a Paladin.
Sort of Duran-Duran-y, maybe a little Jareth from Labyrinth. He's got like big rainbowy blonde with like some cheap streaks in there and a little crown.
Yeah.
And he's got a big old cape.
I thought Scarmiglione's
Scarmiglione.
right was Scarmiglione was pretty cool. Pretty cool. Is this an undead character?
He
I believe
summons undead
so.
for sure.
Well, yeah, in that first fight, he's flanked by like 4 undead characters.
Right. Yeah, if you cast Cure on him, it will cure him. So I guess not. He's a Earth Elemental, not an undead.
He looks like one of the enemies in Lord of the Night guy, the Dark Knight guys in Lord of the Rings called the 7
Nazgul
witch guys. Nazgul. He looks like a Nazgul.
Sure.
I thought.
Mm-hmm. He's no Mom Bomb, which is one of my favorite enemy designs in this chunker.
Yeah, Mom Bomb's great. But no, I liked his. I actually thought this fight was pretty tough. His second form, especially, was pretty tough. I did like the fact that you could damage the undead enemies by healing them. Although, like, I felt like the MP cost was not worth the amount of damage that I was doing. So I kind of abandoned that strategy pretty early and just was like, I'm just going to physically attack these guys.
Yeah, I was doing... Twin doesn't use any MP at least in my version. So I could just...
I'm not sure if it does.
I could just twin cast over and over and then have Tella use like fire. I guess he still just had the first level,
Yes.
like fire, not Firaga or anything.
Yeah. Which, speaking of, he like remembers his spells at this point. Tella. So he does get
And-
the higher
and the
versions of the
voice gives
spells, and he gets Meteor. Though I think that he doesn't have the MP to cast it, maybe?
Which is that's what I call, what's the opposite of dissonance? Congruity? Yeah. It's a ludonarrative congruity there, Matthew. Because like he doesn't have enough power to cast Meteor, so if he did, it would kill him. Just like the kids said.
John, what does Ludo narrative mean?
That means the game, Ludo meaning game and narrative meaning
Ludo's the big
story.
puppet monster from Labyrinth, right? The giant.
Yeah.
Ludo.
Yeah, Ludo. So it's
said.
basically the stories that the big red puppet tells.
Oh, okay.
And dissonance means like the gameplay that Ludo makes and the story don't match. It's like saying like, when Uncharted guy's like, I feel bad killing this one guy after he's killed 400 people.
Yeah. It's like a funeral scene set to a Weird Al song. Like the what's going on in the scene and the music, they tonally don't reckon with each other.
Thematic dissonance? It's not really a gameplay dissonance.
That's not thematic. It could just be tonal dissonance.
It's a tonal dissonance versus a gameplay dissonance, where it's like,
I guess that's not a narrative dissonance. That's a tonal dissonance. Yeah.
It's like when you're supposed to be a super powerful warrior, but you start off at level 1 and have.
It's like when in video games when characters get plot armor.
Mm-hmm.
When things that would kill them in any other situation end up just kind of like KOing them, so the next scene can happen.
Or raise doesn't work in cutscenes for some reason.
Or yeah, when like Aerith dies and you can't give her a Phoenix down. Yeah.
So Tella remembers all of his spells, including Meteor. And that's it. We head back to Mysidia. The end.
Did you guys have any trouble fighting Scarmiglione?
I didn't have any
No.
trouble with anything in this. I was pretty well leveled.
I actually died to Scarmiglione.
Do you know what
times.
element actually works well against the pasta elemental?
What?
Antipasto.
Terrible.
Oh no, he harnessed the power of antipasto. What will I do? Mamma mia.
Oh man.
It's the best episode we've done in years.
So that's it. That's the end of the Junker.
It's true.
Do we mention the paladin thing?
Nope.
Yeah.
It's not important.
We did.
That's a major plot point.
Mention the paladin thing. Thank you. You were gone.
I do like the little 16-bit sprite animation of Cecil walking. Everyone else leaves, and he like walks
His reflection
and turns back and looks at his reflection in the voice. He's like, he called me son, daddy, and then he doesn't say daddy, but he leaves.
I think any time in a game where you see that a character has a reflection that actually mimics your character movements, it's impressive. In 16-bit games, in current generation, like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, Alan Wake 2 does not do that.
Excuse me, Jim?
Like, every time you come upon a mirror, it's distorted.
Jim, if you set your ray tracing on your PC to medium or higher, it actually does enable reflections, and you can see yourself.
I'm playing on quality mode.
on
Alan Wake 2.
a console. Oh, I don't want to be
On a PS5.
I don't want to be that guy. But Jim, I will take a screenshot of a working mirror in Alan Wake just for you.
I would love to see it. I would love to. That actually surprised me that I couldn't see my character's reflections in Alan Wake 2 because everything else is such high fidelity. I was pretty shocked.
Like Jack Black looks perfect. John
John Cusack
looks amazing.
Great soundtrack.
Are there any female characters in that movie?
No.
They're just named
No,
Girl
there
1,
are.
Girl 2.
Yeah, romantic interest 1.
So do you feel like... So basically, we can finish the next chunker at the Tower of Zot, or right afterwards. You know, there's a really dramatic moment. I'd say, like, do it once you get to meet the dwarves, because that's pretty fun.
That's in the underworld, right?
There's a lot of story. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of story there, but it's not that much. Tower of Zot's kind of a beast. It's a big dungeon.
I was expecting this game to be pretty plot light.
Why?
And it just being kind of a generic fantasy plot, because like
famously the first
three.
It's famously the first Final Fantasy that has like an in-depth plot.
I know. I think I just wasn't giving it the benefit of the doubt. But I'm pretty like pleasantly surprised by how involved this plot is and how deep the characterizations are. I'm having a good time with this game. I think it's really good. Probably one of my favorite Final Fantasies.
Okay. Did you watch the cutscene I posted? From
watch
the voiced cutscene from the Steam 3D version. I put that into the Facebook.
No,
group.
because I got the Steam Pixel version, so I haven't actually seen any of the cutscenes in any of the other versions yet.
Not right now, but go look it up on the Facebook group. I posted I recorded the cutscene with the voice acting.
Oh, is that the one you got the copyright strike for?
Oh, yeah, but I think it's still. It might not. Let me know if you can see it.
It is. It's still there.
Okay.
I saw it. Yeah.
Fucking you. Facebook is really just after me. They just don't like me anymore.
I know. You're on their like blacklist.
So
all right, so next time we're playing to the arrival at the underworld, is that correct?
Yeah, meeting the dwarves. It's right after you get there, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
Why don't we talk about what we are squarely against? Johnny.
Okay. I am square. Well, you know what? I was against the bad translation last time. I am roundly for the adorable cutscenes. I really like. I get nostalgic for these really early 16-bit cutscenes. It's like little puppet shows with the little bouncing sprites everywhere. What about you, Jim?
I am roundly for Yang. I love a monk character. I choose to play as monks anytime that I can. It's my favorite character class. So having a cool monk named Yang or Karate Man, if you're playing John's version of the game, is a delight. I think he's a cool character and he does a lot of damage. Good stuff. Matt, what are you squarely against, buddy?
I'm roundly for the class change. I thought it was interesting. I didn't see it coming. I mean, I did because somebody in the Facebook group spoiled it for us 2 weeks ago, but thanks. But I didn't...
We also spoiled it for all of our listeners in the last episode.
We didn't have to do that if somebody didn't want to, but they did, so...
I left it in.
But I thought it was neat. I didn't really expect it, and it was a fun twist. It's an early game twist. I liked it. I'm interested in this game. You know, unfortunately, it is much like a lot of these early JRPGs where I'm kind of bored. I'm glad that I can speed things up. Because if I was playing the SNES version like Johnny, I would not finish this game.
I agree. John is like, John always goes the extra mile for games that we play on the show. And the fact that he's playing, like, in my opinion, probably the least accessible version of this game.
It's not a good version.
And going through it, I like hats off to you, John.
Well, but also the listeners chose it. Remember, I put up a vote of all the different versions.
That's true. Yeah, you were compelled to do it.
So they yeah.
The rest of us didn't.
I know, and I figured
that's true.
They probably would do this. We do have an email. Can I read it real quick? It's a shorto.
Yeah, I would love it if you did.
This is from Soul. I believe it's Soul Wagner, who we thank at the end of many episodes. Hey, Scooters. First off, I'd like to say, I know you're all real ones and wonderful people. I'd like to share a little PSA. Episode 2 of Xenoblade Chronicles, What is Fresh Other Than Babies? Johnny brought up in an old review he found that said, you all talk like autistic people. As a rebuttal to that, I said, I talk like a normal person, and you all goofed on that for a minute. I'd like to offer a friendly reminder to everyone out there that autistic people are normal. I've written a few emails to you before that I've always thrown away because I end up thinking this isn't important. This time it felt a little different. I often talk at my wife about stuff I hear on podcasts. I told her about this and how I was thinking about writing a PSA. Unlike her usual response of, that's great, she said, aw, my hero. So, I had to become Milady's hashtag white knight in shining armor. You probably get, for context clues, she has this flash of the tism. I probably do too. Ha. I should not have said that. That was a misspeaking. So I apologize. I was making a terrible joke and it didn't work. So yeah, sorry about that. There's context for it that I have been made fun of for my rambling about things in an autistic manner, and I can be sensitive about it, and I try very hard to sound normal, and that's what that was about. I was joking that I sound normal, even though I know I give off a little bit of that because I am, and that's that.
I will say, John, and I don't know that like a lot of podcast listeners pick up on this, but like we've been doing this podcast for so long, like we've kind of on air exercised a lot of our own negative tendencies as far as like how we speak or how we talk about things or the references that we make. Like we've kind of bounced a lot of that off one another, and corrected each other in a lot of places, and a lot of that just has been on air. And so, when we do stuff like that, it's not out of malice, or it's not out of we're not trying to punch down or anything like that. A lot of it's just stuff that comes out that we just kind of need to be better about.
Yeah.
And so our imperfections show up on the air a lot of the times, and it's not out of any negative feeling towards anyone. It's just stuff we just we're growing out of, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it was right for Soul to bring it up, and his wife was right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't say that like, and I don't say that meaning like we should be immune to criticism, because we're putting this out on the internet for people to listen to, but at the same time, like, we're trying.
Except for Matthew.
No, I'm definitely not.
Matt stopped trying a long time ago.
I basically
he puts on his 8-bit glasses and then says, "Deal
Matt's
with
been
it."
perfect from
I'm
day
basically a
one.
walking South Park character,
Yeah.
Matt is Cartman.
This whole conversation
IRL.
is too woke for me.
Ooh. Matthew just
Did you
pushed
guys
me
know
over
that
into the mud.
That the new South Park special
Never
that's
gonna
on
watch
Paramount
that.
Plus is about Cartman. Is about Cartman being afraid that he's going to be replaced by woke characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like diversity is going to overtake South Park.
Just to be clear, Cartman is the worst person on that show, and anytime he is espousing a view, I don't like South Park, and I don't want to defend it. But anytime Cartman is espousing a view, you, the viewer, are supposed to understand that he's an asshole.
Yeah, but also, like, the Cartman is kind of the id of the creators, I think. And so when they center plots around Cartman, it's usually like, these guys are trying to work something out, and I don't really need to be a
That
party
is
to it.
100% fair. I could not agree more.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. It's always like, haha, isn't it
Yeah.
funny that we use use slurs on our show? That should be okay, right?
Yeah.
And then people push back and are like,
I feel like a lot
"No."
of it is like, yeah, the creators are like, doesn't it suck that we can't use slurs, but also maybe we shouldn't? It's kind of gross.
I was playing Saints Row 1, recording footage for my YouTube channel. because I'm talking about the Saints Row series, and they dropped the N-bomb. So it's like a Tarantino film in that.
Wow.
All the time.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Like,
Holy
just like
cow.
people on the street call you that. It's,
Wow.
it's, I mean, I understand that it's set in Chicago.
I mean, is that
But
not true to life,
still-
though? Is that bad?
Is it necessary? I don't know. What,
That's a good question.
I just, and in later games, they do not do this. So it's definitely this is a very 2006 game.
All right. Jim, tell us about Patreon.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Our Patreon, as I explained earlier, which is at patreon.com/squarerootspodcast. On our Patreon, we have lots of sweet bonus content. We talk about movies. We talk about video games. We talk about how we leveled up. There's a ton of great content on there. This month, like I said earlier, we're going to be talking about Alan Wake 2, which is my favorite game. I think that's come out in a long time, so I'm excited to dig into all that.
Yeah, but you say that about
lore.
every game, so you don't have a very trustworthy.
I probably do.
trustworthy
But Alan Wake
record.
2, man, a game I am into.
I think it's pretty good.
Like,
I'm really into it.
I woke up early this morning and watched a 2.5-hour plot explainer on Alan Wake and Alan Wake 2.
That's not a good thing to admit. So you're telling us that you don't understand the plot and that.
No, I do, but I want its themes explained further.
But it's just
I think it's great.
not like the guys from Remedy are explaining it. It's people with their own interpretations.
I've watched multiple explanations. Yeah, I want to hear all the interpretations. I think it all just kind of colors it in different ways. Anyways, you can find all that on our Patreon, patreon.com/squarerootspodcast. All that content is available at the $3 level. At the $5 level, get access to all that great content, plus the ability to vote on games that we play on the show. Final Fantasy IV is a result of a vote. Every game that we've played this year has been the result of a vote, except for Mass Effect 3, which was a BioWare
Are we going to
game.
continue that next year? It doesn't seem like we are.
I thought we were going to play... Why did I think we were going to play, like, Jade Cocoon?
Jade Empire?
Jade Empire.
No, Vanessa.
we're doing
Jade Empire.
Vanessa wants to do... Yeah, Inquisition.
Let's be clear. Vanessa and Matt.
Oh, Dragon Age
wanna do
Inquisition.
Dragon
That's
Age
right.
And that. It's a great game.
I
have
think
no problem.
Inquisition fucking rocks.
I mean, it's going to take us 3 fucking months
yeah.
to get through that game.
Yeah, it's going to take us a while. That one's a big one. But yeah, so another benefit to being a patron, no matter what tier you subscribe to, we like to personally thank some of them on the air. I will kick us off this week by thanking David Shook, Stephen Paget, Megan Sullivan, Mike, Arthur A., Andy M., Tom, Alex Jokic, Cecil, yeah, you're breaking my heart, and Andy Best.
I'd like to thank Do Good Recklessly, Brian Pitt, Tracy the Borg Queen, Ian Frederick, What Hatbins in New Vegas, Justin Ham, Wedgecoon, Zachary Bullet Ant Harbison. For Square Roots Podcast, I'm Stim Stanks. I'm the RPG Luminary, baby.
I'd like to thank John Scala, Ederol, Lex Averial, Gage La Charité, Lacurite, right? I think that's how he says it's pronounced. Saving Sid, DP299, Mike Marno,
Are you our enemy?
Seth G, Johnny Five Alive, and Erica Pidkameni.
Also, a special shout out to Vanessa's diarrhea.
She did helicopter out of here earlier.
Hopefully
we can find her by next week. I guess we'll see.
Big wet helicopter spin.
Yeah.
All right. If you'd like to send us an email, you can send it to squarerootspodcast@gmail.com. Come join our Facebook group. It's awesome. It's a Square Roots podcast group for smart, cool, very attractive people.
Certainly the only reason I'm still on Facebook.
Yeah. Or find us on Blue Sky, squarerootspod.bsky.social.
Find Matthew on Threads, his favorite social network. And please rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, Ghana, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks, Stephen Morris, for his great theme. You can find Stephen on Twitter as Beige on Beige, and on YouTube, and on Blue Sky. Links in the show notes.
All right, for Square Roots, I'm Jim Banks.
I'm Matthew Van Zant.
I'm Johnny Brandon.
Bye.